Hello, my Libra friends. This is Jill with the Healing Moon Tarot, and today we're going to do your October 2018 general reading. Sorry, excuse me. I just looked back and saw that for September, your oracle card was expansion, and we're going to start by pulling another oracle card. And while I shuffle, I just want to talk about expansion and if that energy showed up for you in September. Do you feel like there was some expansion in your life? Was there some growth? Did you in any way, shape, or form experience that? And I would think about how that has affected you in this month of September, and if it's going to continue into October for you. And we have you are worth it. So if that expansion felt hard or uncomfortable in any way, I would just, in October, think about your worth, Libra. You're worth the hard work. You're worth going through uncomfortable things in order to come out better. Being uncomfortable really promotes change, promotes growth, promotes things to expand. And a big component of that can be a reminder to have resilience, because the outcome is going to be worth it, because you are worth the work, right? So let's see what's coming out for your mental space in the month of October. We have the Tower and the Three of Wands. Mentally, you may be feeling a bit disrupted this month. The Tower card obviously shows some things are getting knocked around. Something's going to get broke down to its foundation, and I always see it like that. Looks like a scary card. To me, my perspective on this card is opportunity, though, because once this thing gets kind of torn down, the foundation will be free to rebuild it again how you want, to rebuild a space that's going to work for you, whether this be in your job, your home, a relationship, something to do with your own inner workings. And it may be tearing down some of your thought processes, how you used to approach things, how you used to deal with things. With the Three of Wands, he is on a journey, right? He is looking over this expansive space, and he looks ready to go, right? He's willing to take the steps necessary to continue on this journey. He's willing to take that risk. He's willing to make that change. So I think in your thought processes this month, it may be a bit uncomfortable. That seems to be a word that's is coming up for you a lot already, and we're just getting rolling. But I would take it as an opportunity. The uncomfortableness is a chosen one of, I know that I don't want certain things anymore. I know I need to change certain things, and coming into a place of I have the power to do it, and it's up to me to possess the perspective of seeing any turmoil, any destruction of process as an opportunity to, okay, once it gets torn down, I get to choose which direction it goes. I get to decide how I'm going to progress this thing. So let's pull a card for your physical space this month. We have the Seven of Swords and the Queen of Wands. It may be good for you to be a little self-serving this month. This card is a lot of times spoken of as a thief. He is carrying away stuff. He looks like he's sneaking away with much more than what he needs, right? So this is a card of self-serving. Sometimes it's necessary to put your own needs first and to be very mindful of taking care of the things you have to take care of. However, I would not take this as a right to take things that don't belong to you. there's a fine line of gray area there that you may walk, Libra. I know a few of you and how you like gray areas because, you know, the scales of fair and just and what is and what isn't, and your very specific perspective on that. So in your physical space, or you may be dealing with someone taking from you, and you could be taking things, and this may be just taking time for yourself, because we have the Queen of Wands here, and she is she's so in tune with herself. She's very what's the word I'm looking for? Man, she's driven by her intuition, if you will. She's very connected to what feels right and just for her and what sits with her in her creative space. And she can also be extremely passionate and connected to the things she creates in this world. So you may need to take, you know, be self-serving in the way that promotes this kind of energy of taking time to meditate or to pray or to create, taking time to build the life that you want. I would just be very mindful of how this energy, if this is showing up, if you have an opportunity to screw somebody over, you know, you're Libra, you understand karma and balance. So I would be careful with this kind of energy if it presents itself. What is your perspective on it? And how are you, maybe you're going to use your creativity to have things be self-serving, but not in a way that hurts others. Libra, you all can get pretty creative in those ways. So it's hard for me to say specifically how this energy is going to show for each of you in a general reading, but I just want to put it out there in a way that at least makes you go, yeah, that makes sense in this aspect of my life. Or if this kind of opportunity arises, will make you pause and say, okay, I could just think of myself here. Am I being greedy, or am I being too self-serving? How is this affecting others? How is this going to affect me down the road? Just call yourself to attention in that kind of situation. Or if you find yourself stealing away time, it's okay to take time for yourself. But if you want to steal away time, just remember you could be negatively affecting someone else, even if it's little things like, I'm going to stop and do this on my way home from work and not tell my spouse because I'm needing that time right now. And I don't want to be made to feel guilty for taking some time out or what have you. But long haul, how's that going to affect me? And I need to be pretty honest with them, or this could negatively affect me, that kind of stuff. Let's pull a card for your emotional space. We have the Knight of Wands. Very charismatic, willing to interact. We have a lot of Wands cards. This could be some fire energy coming through, maybe with other people in your life, or it's just you exhibiting. You are an air sign, actually, but depending on your other placements and your own personal personality, you might exhibit a lot of fire energy. So how is that coming out in your life? Oh, I'm sorry. I think I jiggled the camera. Can't sit still this morning. Emotionally wanting to be passionate and connected and creative and wanting to engage in people that way. October may definitely be you wanting different people to engage with, or feeling a little bored with those kind of emotional interactions, or being very willing to extend to your partner like going out of your way to feel some passion between each other, or you really playing up your personality and saying, look at me on my pretty horse, aren't I majestic? Like, I kind of feel like he has that kind of maybe a little arrogance to him. So emotionally, I would just be very mindful of that. How are you using that energy? Do you feel good in your body? Do you feel passionate about how you're spending your time and who you're spending your time with? And going back to the you are worth it. I'm pulling a lot of this. I'm better than this. I can do more than this. Finding worth in yourself and the things that you do and your skill sets and your ideas and all of that, and remembering that each of us play a role on this planet, and we may not agree with someone else's, but feeling very good about the role you're playing. So maybe you're getting some of that this month, and this tower stuff falling down and you getting to recreate some things about yourself and saying, okay, that didn't work, or that hasn't been working, or this is coming down. So how am I going to create going forward? How can I reconnect and having some passion in my life, and finding ways to express that? Let's get some cards pulled for your spiritual space this month. We have the Hierophant and the Sun. The Hierophant shows spirituality in a way. Here's a religious leader with his followers. This card always talks about institution, and whether this be a school, a church, some kind of organization that has a leader, if you will, or someone that is been practicing whatever this is for a long time, and they're looked to as someone who knows things, right? And there's typically some kind of accountability associated with this card, holding yourself to some kind of standard or being held by others to some kind of standard that's coming out in your spiritual space. Maybe you attending something or reaching out to learn from someone, even if it's just watching YouTube videos about your religion or spiritual practices, or learning how to connect with yourself more, whether you meditate, pray, exercise, whatever it is. But I see this as maybe seeking counsel this month, or it could just actually a counselor or a very close friend that you have high regard for their opinions and perspectives on your life, and they help you better gauge how you then feel about stuff going on in your life. Their perspective helps you adjust your own. And the Sun is, I mean, it's a bright sunshiny day. Feeling secure, feeling confident, having this, sunflowers, the sun, a naked baby. This is screaming like joyful, this youthful, just feeling like every day is freaking amazing, right? Like, do you remember when you were a little kid, and I don't remember ever being like that bummed out if the weather was bad or whatever. It was just every day was cool, and I could create what I wanted to that day, and I wasn't jaded yet by life and whatever, and the sun shines new every day. Like, the sun's gonna come up. So these coming out in your spiritual space, I believe it's just between some kind of guidance or some kind of instilling yourself with more education or more perspective from those who have some kind of authority can help you feel much more secure about the decisions you're making and how you're progressing in that area of your life. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and pause the camera, move cards around and stuff, and we will get into yet another reading. All right. Now, Libra, we're going to start by pulling a challenge card. So something that may be difficult for you to deal with in the month of October. We have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is sometimes a hard card, and it doesn't matter how many times I've read this card and learned about it and listened to other people's perspectives. There seems to be a wide range of perspective on this card about its meaning and its intent within the deck and all of this stuff. And with it coming out as your challenge, I recommend looking it up for yourself and pulling from it what makes sense to you. Read more than one site. Just Google it, look it up. I mean, even on Instagram, there's tons of us that do daily card pulls. Usually when this card comes up, and how I do my daily card pulls on Instagram, if you haven't seen them, is I mostly just list questions. So this card makes me think of this, and I list all the questions that it pulls inside of me in the kind of the dialogue that I have with myself each day when I pull a card, and how can I learn from this energy and so forth. The Wheel of Fortune card, depending on that perspective, can mean a lot of different things. I mean, could mean that fortune is, coming in your favor. There's a low side and a high side. This is cyclical. I don't know why I tried to use that word because I can't ever say it. And it can really talk about the cycles in life and your perspective on them, and the polarities that happen in life. But to me, it's like I see this circle going around, but you're in the center, and you can either move with it or you can fixate on one direction and then only see what kind of falls in your gaze, right? So with your worth it and this coming out as a challenge, I think it's smart to think about your role on this planet. What is my purpose? And I know that's a really hard question, and a lot of us never ever find the answer. But when I'm quiet within my own heart and my own head, what truly allows me to feel connected? Where do I feel worth in myself? What are my skill sets, and what do I have to offer the world? And then how am I willing to allow these to progress in my life? How am I willing, what's my perspective on my gifts and how I put them into the world and what comes into my life? Do I sit around and feel sorry for myself? Am I only seeing the negative side of this cycle? What am I allowing into my gaze? Or am I on just spinning mindlessly and not holding on to any specific thing in this world? That I'm quite honestly don't know what else to say to you Libras regarding that energy, because I think it's going to be very important for you to learn about it and see how it's applying in your life and what your perspective is on that. And I know that's not what you want to hear, is for me to tell you to go do your own homework, but really for you to get the most of what I do here, it may be very helpful for you to spend a couple minutes looking into this more. And what is your relationship to this card? How do you feel about the cycles in our life and your perspectives on them, and how all these polarities play? Let's pull a card now for your strengths this month that you may need to utilize. Oh, geez. I can't reach it. Again, polarities. This person is perfectly centered between these two things, right? And he's on top of the world. But so I think that's just showing perspective that these are very far away. you to understand that you can have two very fixed beliefs or ideas or skills or characteristics in your life that feel like they couldn't possibly be farther apart. But respect that you possess them both, and they both hold power in your life, and they both deserve to have your attention, and that the magic may happen when you're able to include these two very different things into your own being. And so with polarities, with this card in the past, I've mentioned to people that I am a hermit in an extreme mode. Like, I don't do much. I go to work and I'm home. Unless it has to do with my children or one of my businesses, I don't go out. That's me. But another polarity of I love to travel. Without it, I feel like a really big part of me is missing. So those seem like two different things. Like, people are like, oh, you're such a hermit. I can't even get you to go to the bar, but you're willing to travel across the world and go do so. Yes. I see those as two very different things, and I'm good with, and I try to find the balance there. So how are polarities playing in your life and in your personal being, and how can you maintain grasp of both of them and respect them in your own space? Let's pull a card for your need to know section. All right, so apparently you need to know a lot this month, Libra. Your self-limiting thoughts are not going to get you out of that spider web. The more that fly struggles and thrashes, the more it gets entwined in the sticky web, and the more it's consumed, right? So with your thought processes, if you're constantly telling yourself you're not worth it, or you're constantly setting up these expectations or obstacles or limitations, did I already say limitation? All right, Libra, just laugh at me. It's okay. If you're setting all of that stuff up, it's just like thrashing around in this web. Whereas if you moved much more precisely and were more conscious, this person who's hung here in this web could probably get out, right? In like quicksand. The more you thrash around, the more you sink. I think this is just really calling into our thought processes of call yourself. This is your need to know section. So call yourself on it. If you are saying something negative to yourself, are you being mean to yourself? Are you how are you talking to yourself? Are you allowing yourself to feel good in your space and feel comfortable and feel secure in the choices you're making and the actions you're taking and all of that? So this month, please be mindful of any self-limiting thoughts, feelings, actions. The High Priestess is all about going within and really listening to your own wisdom, connecting on a spiritual level, if that is something that you do through meditation, prayer. This card shows her holding the moon. So the moon has a lot to do with perspective, because the moonlight is sunlight reflected off the moon to us, right? The moon isn't its own light source. It's a reflection of light, and things look different under the moonlight. So what's your relationship with those kind of energies? Do you meditate? Do you listen to your gut? Do you listen to your soul, if that's something that you believe in. How do you connect to that? Do you allow your intuition to come through? What are your self-care habits? This card also shows polarities. In most decks, one of these pillars is black and one is white, and she's typically in the center. She typically has the moon under her foot, actually, rather than in the sky, and that kind of shows her controlling that, if you will. I don't really like that wording, but having a real sense of connection to it is under her foot, you know what I mean? So how are those energies playing in your life this month, and what attention can you give them? And we also have the Six of Coins, so this comes down to charity. This card, I say it every single time it comes out. Do not give away what you do not have, and do not take what you don't need, right? Keeping a scale balance in our tangible physical world is extremely important. And being charitable and being able to give without, when you're giving, why they need it or how they need it or whatever should have absolutely nothing to do with your charity. Your charity should simply be, I am fortunate enough to have excess of XYZ, and I am going to give it to someone who needs it. Even if why they need it doesn't agree with my morals or my rules, that's none of my business. My business is to give of my excess, period, to be helpful to someone else. And if you are taking, that is your responsibility for you to truly need it. Do I need this thing? Is this something that I could not procure for myself right now? And allowing this energy to exchange in a pure way. So if you're faced with any of that kind of stuff this month, again, pause on it. Consider how it's playing in your life. That's why I do these readings, not to tell your future, but to help you gauge these kind of energies when they come to being. If you were given the opportunity to gift something in the month of October, that hopefully will go, okay, is this excess, first of all? And do I have conditions on my giving? Am I giving to get some good karma? Am I giving to get some kind of thank you? Am I giving to get recognized in some way? Am I giving because I'm worried about my karma in my life, and I feel like I need to do some good deeds to get my karma back in check? Or regardless, that's an opportunity for you to have a real crystal clear conversation with yourself and say, A, is this excess? B, why am I willing to give it? C, do I have conditions on the giving? Hold yourself accountable for these kind of things. So when you are charitable, you're charitable in the right way, to the right thing, in the right way that's going to truly benefit you. And if you need to take this month, again, do I really need this? Is this something I can do for myself? Am I willing, is someone else putting conditions on it though? Because if somebody's giving to me, I feel that in order for it to be equal, this isn't coming with conditions. Would never take what I don't need, and I will give when I have excess, that kind of thing. So those are kind of some heavy duty cards coming in your need to know, but Libra, you can handle it because you're learning to see worth in yourself, right? And those kind of energies are going to be very, very helpful. And understanding your relationships to those energies will definitely help you feel your own worth. So let's pull, those were your strengths. Let's pull, no, that was your strength. Those are your needs to know. I'm like, man, I'm just screwing myself up. Let's pull some cards for suggestions, and that's where we'll end today. Three of Swords and Queen of Cups. Three of Swords is hurt feelings, pretty simply put. Are you hurting someone's feelings, or is someone hurting yours? What is your relationship to that, with suggestion that coming out in the suggestion area with the Queen of Cups? She is the ultimate feminine energy when it comes to our emotions, and she is very emotionally open and connected, and she is shown as pregnant in a lot of cards because it's a very maternal, loving kind of energy. There can be a possessiveness there, but coming out with the 3 here in your suggestions, I'm really getting a sense of you understanding what your relationship to hurt feelings are. Do you hold a grudge? Do you lash out and hurt people accidentally, just because you have a bad habit of reacting to certain situations in certain ways? Are you willing to forgive? Do you allow people to hurt you because you don't have boundaries in some areas of your life? Are, these, again, questions, question yourself. Every card I pull, question why you think of what you think of and why you're reacting the way you're reacting to what I'm saying. That's where you grow from this. This isn't just about a knight in shining armor might show up for you and da-da-da. No, that's not how I do things here. This is truly about growth, and just us trying to live the best lives that we can in association to the energies that show up around us every day. So I'm taking this as a maturity, a trying, putting your heart out there in a way that's going to help you become more understanding and more mature. Someone who's emotionally mature isn't going to hold on to hurt feelings for a long time. They learn how to deal with that so they don't have to keep carrying crap around with them. They learn, I see her as knowing how to forgive and knowing how to be understanding and compromise, and having an empathy for people, and knowing, I don't always make the best choices or do the right things, and I've hurt people's feelings, and I understand that this person's intent was probably not to hurt me. How can I get more balanced with that? And I know as an air sign, sometimes you're very analytical. Libra justice is what I think of, and value, very just and fair and right. And some of this cup energy, this emotional water stuff, is hard for you all sometimes because you're like, but you broke the rules. These were the rules and you broke them, and that hurt my feelings. And so I just see this as maturing a little bit, and holding more of a mature ideal of what it is to be hurt or to hurt others. So this was a really fun reading, Libra. I hope you do know that you are so amazing and worth it. You're worth putting in the time and the effort, and you're worth going through uncomfortable situations sometimes, and the more you do the work, the more you hold yourself accountable, the more you're willing to ask yourself the hard questions, the more you'll enjoy your life. I think that's how it goes. At least it's working for me. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. I absolutely love to hear from people. My other social medias will be below. Find me on Instagram if you would like. I really, really appreciate you giving me your time. I hope you have an amazing month. Subscribe if you want to see me again. Bye-bye.